Hello, my friend. Welcome to Do Not Talk. Yep, we're talking about the two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. That's what I do. I'm Charlie Simons. Every day, live at 12:05, Monday through Friday, on 3 or 4 different Facebook pages. When I'm not kicked off, I'm on my 21st 90-day restriction. By the way, that's over 5 years. Facebook has knocked me down to the bottom of the pile. Screw Facebook. YouTube, same story. They've been really just awful. So we're on Rumble, rumble.com/do not talk, and rumble.com/user, USER, user/C Lee Simons. Simons is spelled SIMONS, one M with an S on the end. C Lee Simons, rumble.com/user/C Lee Simons. Building up a new page there when I go live on these events every day at 12:05. Also on X, you'll find me there. Twitter, yep, at Charlie Simons, CharleeSimons, the @ Charlie Simons on X. And where else am I? Covered Rumble, covered LinkedIn. Forget it. That's enough. Welcome. You want to help the show stay on the air? You sure can by buying one of these shirts, the God Family Country shirt right here, you see, or one of our big old coffee mugs, 15-ouncer, baby, and you'll be helping the show stay on the air. There's also ways that you can give to this ministry too, because that's what this is. It's a ministry, and that is at do-not-talk.com. do-not-talk.com. My guest today is Kevin Cooper. Kevin Cooper. You don't know what Kevin Cooper is? Well, a lot of people don't. He's one of those guys that likes to fly under the radar and get things done. He's got a tremendous heart of gold, though. And I'll tell you what he is fighting for is absolutely, first and foremost, the most important thing, and it's our children and what's happening to children in schools. That's what today is about on Do Not Talk. There's this guy, let's see. He explains exactly how the government, the left, is influencing young people and using influencers on the internet to shape the future of their Star Trek utopia, their one world government. That's right. They're going to use people like this.
Biden invited 70 influencers to view his State of the Union address in order to...
I was one of the 70 influencers that was invited, so let me spill the tea with you. So I got this message, I want to say on Monday night. So I got an email from an agency, and I saw the people that were CC'd on, and I didn't recognize any of the other email addresses that were CC'd onto this invite. Okay. So essentially, they were like, we'd love to have you at this like a watch party for the State of Union address, blah, 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 whatever it's called. Whatever. So I'm not super political on this platform. So I was like on the fence. So I just kind of like give these neutral responses, whatever. I keep getting like more information. 24 hours before the State of the Union address is when Biden, which is what this original creator was talking about, was when Biden was like, yo, if TikTok is going to get banned, I would totally sign on that. Hard stop, right? I was like, oh, no, absolutely not. After Biden has used TikTok to campaign certain things recently anyway. So I was like, you're full of crap. So I don't go, right? And I just kind of leave it unread. And then right at that time too, the agency was like, here's all the concept briefs of your posting. And so that's something that we do as influencers when we have brand deals and we have sponsorships, we have these things called concept briefs. And it's all these approved talking points that we can make videos about afterwards. Right. I didn't know that posting was like asked. It wasn't asked in the original invite. Felt really gross about it. So I was like, oh, is there like a budget for this? Like this has to be like wildly talked about with my team. Like we're not really going through this like right now, an hour before the fucking event. This is crazy.
Sorry, I forgot about the language.
So they're like, no, we don't have a posting requirement. We just really encourage everyone to do that. So then I've been getting emails like since the event to like post on one of these talking points. Haven't answered any of them. So on all platforms that I have, TikTok and Instagram and all these things, right? I have about a little bit over 400K followers. Pretty small in the grand scheme of public figures that you all know today. So if you think about my size of following, I was invited to this to basically boost Joe Biden and his voice. Think about the people that you look up to that are high public figures that all of a sudden get into political activism. Think about if it's actually authentic or not, or if they're getting things out of it, they're being celebrated to do that, they're being paid to do that, right? Think about that. So sometimes.
So she's obviously very smart, not like a lot of them, but they were still trying to get her on board with it. And she's like she has all these problems with all these different things that they're saying, oh, you gotta jump through this hoop, and you gotta do this, you gotta do that, or we won't invite you to the party.
Go, oh, well, you have a platform, you should be using it. I don't really know if I care what Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, etc. really cares about politically, and they're probably not doing it in an authentic way. Just food for thought.
Exactly, not doing it in an authentic way. But yet, speaking of inauthentic, here's one who jumped right on board.
Day 222 of being a girl. I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to the White House to speak to the President of the United States.
Yes, it's Dylan Mulvaney.
I get to sit down with Joe Biden and Now This News, and I get to ask him a few questions surrounding trans issues in the United States and talk to him about my transness. And I'm ready to step up and show that trans people, we're not going anywhere. And that trans kids, they deserve a fighting chance to be their true selves.
Do you think I just knock on the front door? Let's go.
Such a freaking
Looking for the president's dog.
Our queen. Love you. I love you.
We're about to go. Is there anything in my teeth?
Leaving on cloud 9.
The President of the United States gave me a cookie. He gave me a cookie in the Oval Office. Everyone, I got to pet the dog. I got to pet his dog.
One sec. Democracy's calling.
Oh, here's another winner. Yeah, another dude trying to act like he's all girly.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and this is a day in my life as a White House intern.
We did it, Joe. Hey, everyone. Vogue.
Usually I start off with a big coffee. Sorry, they're like really strict in here.
Hey, Jenny. I booked you a nail appointment, love.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to do that.
It's called Initiative. Hi, White House. This is Cooper.
Okay, let's skip ahead.
Every single American.
I'm heading to a haircut.
Comment if you want me to make more of these.
Now, here's what happened at Biden's big day, getting all these influencers to join him at the White House. You ready for this?
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
Yeah.
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You are understood.
You are loved.
And you belong. The greatest and most inspiring people I've ever known.
You're welcome.
Good folk.
Wait a minute. You're some of the bravest and most inspiring people I've known. Isn't this also the guy that said Hunter Biden is the smartest man he's known?
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights. Oh, it's a video. Oh, it's a video.
It's White House. At the White House.
Are we topless at the White House?
Here's the worst part. If these people aren't doing this kind of thing to influence your children, and they do, your kids watch these, then they're in the school system and they're grooming, teaching your kids, hey, this is a great way to be. And I got a friend who's dead set against letting that continue to happen in schools. His name is Kevin Cooper, and I'm looking forward to you meeting him here on Do Not Talk. You ready? Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie.
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
Yeah, Kevin Cooper says to what you're doing at the schools. No, I'm not going to let it happen. No, not on his watch. I've seen this guy at school board meetings. I've seen this guy at central committee meetings, they call it, with the Republican Party. And I've seen him in action. He's not one of those guys that grabs the microphone, gets up there and starts shouting, we got to make this in. We got to do this. We got to do that. He's the guy in the back. He's the thinker. He's the planner. He's the organizer, making things happen, but doesn't really want a lot of the limelight. So to get him on the show like this, and when I asked him, I was kind of like, wow. He said yes. Here he is. Hello, Kevin Cooper. What's going on, my friend?
You're super kind. That's what's going on. I'm I aspire to be many of the things that Charlie said. So, my baseball card would not show quite all the successes that Charlie pointed out. But I don't know if I don't like the limelight, but I'm definitely trying to show people, kind of how the political system works. We talked about the COVID committee, which I'm still praying about. Hopefully that will work out. But then on the situation that's going on in Placer County, I think that, one of the biggest things that we need to be aware of is sort of the politics by school district. And, the idea that in some school districts, we've had them sort of jump out and say, hey, we're going to take a really strong stand on parents' rights. And then in other districts, they haven't. And, there's a lot of concerns that come with every school district kind of going its own way. Obviously you can only go as far as the votes you have. But I think that there's also a question of, hey, if we don't think we have the votes, theoretically we're MAGA country. We should be able to spin up some votes. One of the things that I was super concerned about is Rockland School District has sort of joined a dispute, battle, whatever we want to call it, with the LGBTQ/teachers unions powers that be, and they've come after Rockland and the school board members ruthlessly. As a matter of fact, in the aftermath of the Casey Tenon landing spot situation, a small group of people I do stuff with, we decided to create a website called Wake Up Placer to kind of cover some of this stuff. And there's about 3 or 4 folks that write and do research, and I'm just one of them. But we decided to put together an article on that whole Casey Tenon landing spot thing, just to make sure all the issues got covered, because too many people didn't see what was going on. And as that has kind of played out in the county, parents got real concerned that, basically, for those of you that don't know what happened with the landing spot, a church from Loomis worked with 10 high schools and 3 high school districts, and was able to create a fundraiser. And the premise of the fundraiser was to ask boys, high school boys, to dance on stage dressed as women for money and advertise it. And the event was in its 3rd year. And what ended up happening, it was kind of interesting in that it sort of started to leak out that it was going on. And then at the same time that we were kind of learning about it, Project Veritas broke a story, deep undercover. It took them a lot of months, Project Veritas, to get, kind of gather that all up. And as the story started to break out of Project Veritas got rid of James O'Keefe. So everyone immediately stopped sharing Project Veritas videos. And it was really sad, because basically the LGBTQ groups were using oh my God, Project Veritas said these bad things about us, and nobody's supporting LGBTQ kids. And that quickly became the narrative, as opposed to, hey, some people talked to some kids at a school, some boys, and said, you can have a fundraiser by dancing on stage for money. And through this act, you will become more in touch with your sexuality. And the kicker for me was the registration form for this event didn't require a parental signature. So what was super scary about that to me was that at the end of the day, you could very easily talk to a kid and say, hey, let's go perfect your sexuality. And we'll do it by dressing you up as the opposite sex, put you on a stage in front of people you don't know, and you can ask for money, and we'll call that a fundraiser. Nobody got fired. The event was going to be held in its third year again. This is the third year at a Roseville High School. And when it was found out that they'd actually tried to do it at the Roseville High School, supposedly there's a paperwork problem and the whole thing got shut down. So as we fast forward from, probably this time last year, so it's been about 12 months, everybody is at a school board level discussing, fighting around what parents' rights should look like based on the California law, based on historical federal law, and based on sort of the groups, the stakeholders that feel like they have a fight in this. And obviously, some of the people that feel they have a comment or a stake in this is the LGBTQ community and the teachers community. And then obviously the parents do. And as that discussion is kind of rolled around, Rockland Unified School District under Trustee Hub, Trustee Price, Trustee Serhoff, and Trustee Counter came up with this policy that said, hey, if you're going to change the kid's name and it's going to be a public change, then if it's a public change, you don't have a right to any kind of confidentiality. And actually the federal government under the Escondido injunction has proved that, or seasoned that is probably the way you would say that. But the LGBTQ community and the teachers have used that as a fundraising lightning rod, and more importantly, very wisely, because there's a federal injunction on blocking having a school district. Basically, the feds have come in, the federal court has said, you cannot tell a teacher not to talk to a parent if the issue is one that's publicly known. So if you're my teacher and we decide that I'm going to be Karen next week, and the other teachers and the other kids are going to start calling me Karen, I have no right to privacy at that point. So to tell a teacher not to tell a parent, that's a violation of all sorts of laws. And if any people are interested, we can share the article that our team put up. We have an article, and then we have data and links to the case and so forth. So as all of that issues kind of kicking around, other school districts like Dry Creek kind of followed Rockland, and then Roseville really didn't. Roseville Joint High School District. And the argument is that the votes may not be there for something as strong as Dry Creek or Rockland did, because Dry Creek's also an elementary school district. The other issue is that, those kids are older, so, maybe they get a little more freedom. I was frustrated because the policy has clearly got a lot of open space to it. And rather than say, hey, we need to develop a team to go get it and maybe not worry about getting endorsements taken care of because we have some time, let's focus, especially because the Roseville Joint Union High School District's board has changed and there's some turnover. We ought to be able to go down and have a talk. And we don't necessarily need to go as far as Rockland, but we could try and do something else. And that was not greeted well. And, I think it's important to remember you could disagree with people in the Republican Party, but you also want to kind of live around the Reagan's 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak evil of other Republicans.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, in this case, I don't think they did the thing that they could have done and should have done. And so that's where I was sort of standing on that issue last week. And it's frustrating because I don't think that I'm pretty good with numbers. I used to do forecasting for $3 billion of the products. And I think that there was definitely a window to take this issue and make it an electoral winner, especially because we have a lady by the name of Erin Friday, which I think you should try to interview at some point if you can. She has
been watching my show. I've had her on like 3 times. I love Erin Friday.
All right, man. So I haven't been watching the show. I admit it. I'm duly chastised. But here we have Erin, who's, a Democrat who is a lawyer from the Bay Area, and she's like 5'2", and she's figured out how to put together a statewide initiative to make a change on this issue. And, hey, once again, we're Placer County, and, the leadership down at Placer County, whether it's Mark Wright or Mike Murray or Lori Wallace, they've come together and put some amazing wins up at school boards across the county.
Yes,
so let's just take the fight to the next level, as opposed to, hey, well, we can't do it. It's like, look, we got a president who's in court in 4 states. He's been through 2 congressional impeachments. It's time for us to maybe ratchet it up a little bit. And that was the argument I was trying to make. And there was a decision at the Central Committee not to allow outsiders to speak, which, hey, look, it's their team. I'm not even on the committee. Depending on who you talk to, I'm either a really nice guy that comes in or I'm the dude that sticks his nose in. So, it is what it is. But I think that this issue about parents' rights isn't going to go away, especially because the people that are driving that wellness center, none of those people were fired. So odds are whatever happened before, especially with this new policy, will happen again.
Here's what's happening. Here's what I see happening. Yes, and for anyone who doesn't know, what he's talking about is in Northern California. It's northeast of Sacramento, probably about 30, 40 minutes. There's Roseville, Rockland. It's all in this county called Placer, Placer, for the Placer mines. If anybody's a history buff for California. And I hear about that. I hear it mispronounced all the time. Placer County, San Joaquin. That's another one I always hear. It's Placer County is.
You're well traveled. See, I just live in Rockland. I don't know nobody. I just
I don't
hang out, brew my beer, go to church. I'm not very popular. I have not least in the political circles.
I have great friends there, and I've just really come to love the community and the people, and there's some I see encroachment. I mean, I've been in the media my whole life. I'm a little more jaded sometimes than most, even though I'm just a good old boy.
Jaded, you're still fun.
Just though I'm a little good old boy from Bakersfield, I'm still experienced. I have a lot of life experience, and I know how they work. I know how they operate. They've ruined where they live. Then they can no longer even stay in the area that they have destroyed with their stupid ass decisions. So they sell their ridiculously overinflated Bay Area house. They come here, they pay cash for some place and a nice quiet little Mayberry kind of thing that they think it's going to be. And then they immediately bring their politics with them. And they love their little government jobs. They love their little positions of power. Even if it just doesn't pay much or doesn't pay anything at all, at least they get it on a business card. And they start to influence and they start to infiltrate and they start doing that crap. That's what they do. And Placer is a fine example of that. El Dorado County, which is also in that same area, you got Lake Tahoe there, and that's always way left. So you got that to blame. But Placer is just pure infiltration of people coming in from the Bay Area and Los Angeles area. So when they're bringing their politics with them. So people like Kevin, who's lived there all of his life, and they love their community. They love their way of life, and they love the fact that they're much bigger on take responsibility for your own actions and stop blaming everybody else for stuff. And we don't want the government taking care of us from cradle to grave. Those are the people that I admire. Those are the people I respect. But unfortunately, they're now being completely surrounded by people who want to see them taken down. They want to influence the children. We saw it. I mean, Loomis, he mentioned the town of Loomis, this Reverend Casey Tenen, and we've done things about him on the show before. This is a Christian pastor who's grooming children in the homosexual lifestyle in after-school curriculum. And it used to be on campus, by the way. That changed, but who knows how long until it's back again. And now we're getting grants and funding of these wellness centers, as they're called now, that are right across the street from all these different schools, including elementary, where they can come in and they can question and then get answers about this and that. And don't tell mom and dad. They're not cool. They'll never understand. That's what's going on. These are the kind of things that people that like Kevin are fighting against and go, what are you high? Get out of here. You can do whatever you want with your own stupid adult body, but you start jacking with kids, you got a whole new set of problems now. And that's what's happening here. And I encourage you to please keep going. Tell me more about your website.
Well, so right after the Casey Tenen story broke, we wanted to make sure that the narratives on each side were clear. So much of communication these days is, somebody's got a narrative and they push it out, and then that becomes the dominant way to think. And so in the case of Casey Tenen and the landing spot, the narrative was white Christians, white supremacists had come down and put pressure on the school district to push the wholesome, healthy LBGT program that Casey Tenen and his church had developed out of the school. Now, where I may part ways a little bit with you, my brother, is if that's what they want to say, that's fine. Then it's our responsibility to come with the right, or with at least our sales pitch. So I wrote 6,000 words, believe it or not. I know it's a shock. It's a joke. And I sent it to every school board, every city council, Sierra College, and folks at William Jessup. And I said, look, This is what they're saying. And that's fine. I didn't see that.
By the way, is a local private college, Christian college.
Yeah,
in
basically
the town of
city elected leaders and non-elected leaders. I think it's really important when something like this breaks, make sure everybody has the complete set of facts. So here's what the SAC-B. So what was really scary is our
Sacramento
regional.
Bee is the newspaper in Sacramento. I'm talking to people outside of your area, Kevin.
I'm sorry.
SAC
That
Bee,
said,
nobody knows what SAC Bee is. Sacramento Bee is the big newspaper, the only one left in Sacramento, which is the capital of California, of course. So you think they'd be a bigger paper, but oh well.
No, they've really died because they basically they pander, right? Which I think most large. So if you think about it in terms of like you got your national media, your MSNBCs, you got your local media, which is TV and newspapers, and then you have city level, right? Or maybe like national, regional, city, right? And all of that media, the national, the regional, and the city level papers all had those same five points. White Christians came down, white power racists, said all these bad things. Casey Tenen was beloved. And what I said is, look, there's some facts you need to know. And we actually went out and, to quote another famous talk show host, we bought the receipts. We had advertising that the church had put on saying, come on down, bring money for tips. It's for boys to understand their sexuality. They'll dress up as girls. They'll dance on stage. But the big thing we were able to find is the actual registration form, which was 10 pages long. And it asked what song you wanted to dance to and a bunch of other stuff, but there's no place for a parental signature. So you had people going on campus, talking to kids and saying, come off campus with us to a place where you get to dance on stage for money as a fundraiser. And your parents aren't going to know, and it's going to help you perfect your sexuality. And I was like, you guys got to be crazy. If a bunch of guys went in and talked to some girls at a school, high school girls, and say, hey, you're going to age, but if you start dancing now, who knows, by 30, you'll have a couple $1 million in the bank. And it was funny because even when I talked to local women who say that they're conservative Republican and their moms, they would basically tell me, oh, Kevin, you don't understand what this LGBTQ community thing's about. Like, I live under a rock. And unfortunately, not too many people know about my past, and I'm constantly trying to decide if I have to defend myself. But I used to work for several publicly traded Fortune 10, Fortune 100 companies, and I was an investment banker, and I was also a cop on a SWAT team. I also spent some time in my early youth working, like, I'm old now, but working for a California state senator.
You've definitely seen both sides, white collar, blue collar.
I've punched my ticket.
Yeah, you have.
All right, I've been across, and my dad's family's very wealthy, and so I've gone to the country club, and the message I was trying to send is you would never tell any kid to get on stage and dress sexy and dance for money. I don't care what, listen, there's no way that you could tell me an LGBTQ kid or a regular kid or a girl or a lesbian, anybody should be told that, because it's basically objectification. It's not love, it's sex. And that whole argument just disappeared in this weird discussion because we were fighting for some kind of perceived rights. Well, they're kids. And that's where, again, we can fight and be worried about, right now, I think part of the question is the person in, P. Constant, Trustee Constant, he's a good guy. I'm just frustrated because he's deciding to really kind of load up and go run for city council. And the argument is, well, you got to watch the numbers and do the voting. And that's what I did. I actually pulled the information down, and it's tight. But again, if we have Aaron Friday running around, getting, lots of people cranked up about this issue, I'm sure we could find a way if we decided to fight for this and win. And, I'm not going to speak badly about them, but I'm definitely calling out their prioritization. And we'll just have to see how it all works out. Because I think that for me, I think I was listening to some of the, the different moms in the area that are pushing to try and do something in Roseville. And their attitude is, well, I've been working really hard. Why isn't this a priority? And I'm like, well, you need to ask. And the other message we have to say is, hey, Pete, if you want to go do this, I'll publicly state if, they decide to fight and Pete decides to fight, I'm in for $500 or I'll go in for $1,000 and contribute to that fight. I will stroke that check out and go walk, right? Because we need to put our money where our mouth is. As the Bible says, where your treasure is, your heart.
He's talking about when he says go walk the precincts. Shaking hands, kissing babies, putting flyers.
Hand out flyers.
Yeah.
And because we have to decide what what's most important. And like I said, so with the Wake Up Placer thing, I can't decide if it's a dalliance or it's a real thing. We got a lot of articles we put up. Our big thing is that we've been going to school board meetings and cutting the video down so you can see what they say. Because a lot of people are like, oh, the teachers don't think that. I'm like, well, did you go to see the video? Because one of the things we're really hoping will happen is the parents will say to you at Starbucks, oh, I'm really not comfortable with that. But when it comes to looking at your teacher and saying, hey, Charlie, I heard that the union is saying that they will be allies to the LGBTQ community. They will never tell a parent what's going on. And that if they do that, they feel like they're violating the parents' rules or the state rules.
So what's your website?
It's wakeupplacer.com.
Up, and for anybody that doesn't know, Placer is spelled PLACER.com. Thank God you're doing that with the school board meetings. That is fantastic. There it is. Latest from Wake Up Placer. Oh, nice. Right there on the front page. Check out that little tent city. Woohoo!
Yeah. So everybody that's on the team has different opinions, and some of us are better writers than others. But if you go down, you can find an article that has a picture of a bad teacher, and it basically says, hey, this is what's being said, because we really need parents to make a decision on this, right? So unfortunately, what I've seen is some of the really great people who say no to this said, hey, I'm leaving Texas, Oklahoma, they're going east. And
a lot of my friends are gone.
Yeah, but I think it's really important to remember that even though they leave, in 2020, we still voted, and 2022, we still voted very conservatively, right? We were 55% for Trump in Rockland. I think it's like 51%, 52% for Trump in Roseville. But then there's a huge libertarian slice, right? And so if we have ways, if Erin Friday, who is an attorney and a mom, could get so cranked up that she could get a successful shot at doing a statewide initiative and getting 500,000 signatures to get it on the petition, 12 of us and some beer ought to be able to figure this out, right? But it's really a question of how big of an issue this is. And I think a lot of people are like, well, my kids are fine, and if your kids fall, that's great. But then if we take a look at Jesus' admonition about what it means to be a neighbor, or what it means to be concerned, it's the road to Jericho, the guys on the side of the road dying. And, I made this joke yesterday to some people I was talking to. I said, so the first person that walks along is a Democrat, and they see the dying guy. It's like, hey, I got busy, important things to do. I got to get to a protest. And then there's a Republican that walks along. He
George Soros is paying me. I got to get going.
I'm not going to get paid for helping the guy. I got to help the other people. And then the Republicans walk along and they see the guy on the side of the road. And it's like, hey, we're not going to help him because we're busy and we got stuff going on, and the guy probably deserved it. I don't know. I mean, I'm picking on us, but
deserved it.
But and then now it's like the Taliban walks along, or some crazy person we don't like, and we say, hey, yeah, we'll take care of him. And the thing that always makes a lot of the people that I talk to mad, it's like, look, Jesus didn't say build them a hospital or increase the tax bracket. It said stop and help the guy, and then keep going about your business. And if all we did was just had straight talk, especially asking parents to look at teachers and say, are you really supporting this? Because, there's a book that the Sierra Thread, Sierra Signal is another small group that's coming up, and they've just breaking some stories about basically it's a do-it-yourself LGBTQ book for elementary kids that's in a library here in Placer County. And they made a little video about it, and they show the book. And the last couple of pages of the book, it's super funny, Charlie. The last couple of pages of the book.
Sounds really funny so far. Can't wait to hear the punchline.
Well, they have like all these, like you might be a boy, but then you might be confused, or your doctor might be confused, and you may feel these ways, and those feelings are okay, right?
Doctor doesn't know.
We should actually do a broadcast, and I'll show you the book, because the last couple of pages are like how to. Who do you talk to make sure that you understand what sex you are, and if all these other things are going on, with phone numbers and emails. And that book's in an elementary school library in Placer County, several, I think. And so the question becomes, to those of us that are trying to prioritize our time, God bless, Mr. Garvey, he's running for Senate. maybe I help him, maybe I don't. I was a big fan of his. You know, Roseville's got this big issue, I guess, with how they're growing and what their taxes are going to look like. Okay, but then we have this opportunity to take a look at kids being told your sexuality is wrong. This is how you perfect your identity. Love and having sex are the same thing. That's the one that really gets me. It's like having sex with someone and being in love with them. Love is patient, love is kind, love bears all things, versus you're hot and I want to have sex with you, or I'm feeling weird and I want to do something kinky. That's where I think this discussion has been taken by the left, and none of us will say anything because it's uncomfortable. Well, yeah, I mean, well, you get my point. So, you know, where this is headed.
Not enough of us are saying something. How about that?
Fair enough.
First of all, your analogy, you might want to rethink that example of using Taliban as the one that stopped to help somebody, because they don't have a strong track record with that.
I'm being sarcastic. There was some sarcasm. I know it doesn't. I know my sarcasm comes off flat. I'm an old dude. I'm not very funny. You know, my real comedic inspiration is, you know, basically Eddie Murphy. When I was a kid, I wanted to grow up to be a black cop from Detroit. It didn't work out. I wanted to be Axel Foley so bad.
I love that you're going to school board meetings and that you're taping them and then you're cutting them down. And I watched the left. They Casey Tenen, that piece of to be a man of God, is grooming frickin' children. He is the antithesis of there should be a heavy millstone tied around his neck and he should be cast into the sea, because that's what Jesus said is going to happen or should happen in anybody who messes around with kids who are his. And that's Casey Tenen. That describes him perfectly. Messing around with kids and under the guise of being a Christian pastor. Talk about shame. Talk about shame. And I'm supposed to love my enemies, but I do hate evil. And that clown, people like him, he busted him. He incriminated himself. And the only thing the left could say to it was, well, it was highly edited. It was edited because you didn't want the 22 minutes to sit there watching him eat his pork chop while nobody was talking. Of course it was edited, but there was nothing. There was nothing.
It really wasn't edited. And the thing that I think
it wasn't. You're right. It
wasn't
was
edited.
Not that heavily edited, but they said it was. Is my point. But
they did.
Listen though. Listen. Ignore that, people. Please. When they say that as an argument, that is nothing to discredit the proof that you have in front of you. Your eyes and your ears are hearing and seeing it. Yes, you can fix things. Yes, you can be creative with your editing, but that's not a good example of it. You want to see plenty of it? Look to the left and what they do, what they just did with President Trump, making it sound like he wants a bloodbath if he doesn't get elected. What a stinking lie that is. That's not what he said, but they're running with it, man, full force. And there'll be people who go, oh, that's terrible. But what you're doing, most people don't go to school board meetings because of the time. A lot of times they'll last.
They're boring.
Hours.
They're boring.
They're very boring. And you're concentrating it down to where here's what teachers are saying in front of the school board, hoping that you folks never hear it. I love that you're doing that. That makes me really happy. Please don't stop. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's
a couple things.
WakeUpPlacer.com. Placer, Placer.
Yeah.
WakeUpPlacer.com. Kevin Cooper, man, that's awesome. When did you start this website?
So about a year-ish ago. And I mean, the thing is that, you know, so if I'm honest, so I have some like college degrees and one of them has some stuff around marketing. And I haven't done a lot of marketing in my actual career. I do a lot of forecasting. And the thing that we have to remember is, for a lot of us, politics is about integrity and character and standing up for the right thing. But it always has to be sold, unfortunately, right? It's all about marketing. Politics is marketing. People feel like they're getting manipulated. Well, guess what? In the same way someone sold you toothpaste or your Starbucks coffee, there's a product capacity of politics that's a feature set, and you're sold. And so I always try and not use words like grooming and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's not what's going on, but especially in the case of Casey Tenen, at the end of the day, the big issue is you got a pastor going in and talking to kids and saying that he's going to help them perfect their sexuality by putting them on stage, dress as the opposite sex and have them dance for money. And then the kicker that a lot of people always yell at me for not reminding them, because I think the issue is they should have had a parental signature on that. Because if your kid joins the band team or the debate team or the football team, there's a signature that you sign. I've raised 2 kids by myself, and they couldn't do anything without my signature on there, right?
Right.
So, but a lot of people point out that the money that was raised was technically to pay for the kids to go to a camp, a summer camp called Camp Fruit Loop. Everybody always tells me to say that too, although I don't know how important it is. But the camp was designed, again, to help kids
That is really
talk
what
through
he
their
called it.
sexually.
That is really,
yeah.
that is really what he named it.
Well, but the idea was to perfect their sexuality. So again, so if I'm Kevin becoming Karen and you're my teacher or my pastor, you're telling me, let's do all these weird sexual, risque things. And then we're going to go to a summer camp and talk to you more about your sex. And why I was trying to point out. And
then when lights out, get at it.
I'm not saying that, but I am saying this. If we did that, if I went to any high school in the Placer County area and I said, hey, little high school girl that's super cute, I got a plan for you. I have friends that will throw money on the stage if you dance kind of risque. And if you'll do that for us, then we'll set you up with like an influencer plan so you can develop a great OnlyFans program. And all you got to do is come to my summer camp. Now, if we did that in Placer County, the missiles and the rockets and the weapons we're sending to Ukraine would be immediately diverted to kill me. I would be gutted like a pig and drug around town as if I was the most evil thing in the world. And it's like, well,
you'd be up there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why Andrew Tate's universally hated. Now, I don't got an opinion on Andrew Tate, but everybody knows why they hate him. And I'm like, well, why would we want Casey Tenen to allow boys to dance on stage for money?
I don't equate that at all. What you were just talking about, why they would hate you and why they would hate Andrew Tate. But all right.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Andrew Tate's universally hated because people think that's what he's doing. I don't know if he is or not. I'm not a fan, but that's what they said. But I know that if I did that in my community, they would hunt me down and kill me. I wouldn't get to go to a Romanian jail. I'd be dead before they would. I don't know what would happen to me, but it would not be pretty.
Right.
And I'm not, by the way, this is not a advertisement for my next business deal. I'm not planning on talking to high school girls or anything. I think it's wrong too. But it's like, why can't we just say that, right? Why do we have the MSNBC, CNN, local CBS stations, NBC stations, the local paper, the Sacramento Bee, and then our local city paper all saying, this is great. Well, you guys got to be kidding, right? And that scared the crud out of everybody. And then when you look at the books,
that's what we're like, hey, hopefully it was a wake-up call for them from what I was saying earlier. There's a whole lot of people who have come into this once nice area, infiltrating it, hell-bent on ushering in their father's kingdom, for his time is short.
Maybe. I mean, I might disagree with you. I think that what's going on is not so much that those people are coming with their ideas. It's that we're the last sort of bastion in California, right? Orange County kind of fell. And so people are coming for us. Now, I don't think that the people that are moving here are like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's put kids on stage or have these crazy books. But what I do think is going on is the professional players, the professional political players that are available to come to California, they're like, well, we took over everywhere else. Let's go to Placer County. And I have some friends who are lobbyists in Sacramento, and their big joke is, we got nothing else to do, so we're going to come take your county now. And they are, and they have resources that, we don't have, right? I mean, the idea that when this story broke about Pastor Tenen, that it was getting national coverage, and the national coverage was bad, and that all the papers basically use the same 5 talking points. That's planned. Somebody makes a phone call and says, look at all this, and this is how you should think about it. And someone's like, okay.
Absolutely.
And it may not be like an army, like where you do what you're told, but you have time and resources to do that. And the same thing's going on with a lot of the different school boards in the area that have said, hey, we don't think this is a good idea. They're getting hammered. And then you can also see search engine optimization, where when you start typing things in, you're not getting the other side of the argument. You're getting, and I would encourage anybody who's using Google or DuckDuckGo or anything, don't believe that those search engines are not optimizing it to give you what they want to serve to you. I mean, there's a guy, Mike Benz, who actually worked for the Department of Homeland Security, and he called that out. And if you get Mike Benz to be on your show, you'll be my hero, because I think he's
I don't
showing
need Mike
everybody.
Benz to be on my show. I've been telling people this has been going on for years. When I was back with the Salem Media Group, I was saying, hey, you want to test how Google is so one-sided? Just put this in. Trump, great president. Just put that in, search engine in Google, and see what pops up. There'll be 4 pages of nothing but slander and abuse until you finally get to the very bottom of the 5th page. You might see, Trump did something good. That's a lying piece of crap system right there. Google is no
Is that what Google really stands for? It's like French. That's what Google means in French.
What?
Lying piece of. I was just being smart. I said that. It's Google. Google's like French for lying piece of.
Microsoft, same thing with Bing. DuckDuckGo used to be trustworthy, not anymore. It's not the same owner. Stop saying DuckDuckGo, people. I don't know where to go other than Brave is one. There's also.
I've heard that's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, Brave is. I've been happy with it. I use Swiss Cows.
I have not heard of Swiss Cows.
SwissCows.com is my
That's
go-to
a name.
search engine now. It's out of Switzerland. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to stay neutral. You do what you want. You explore what you want. But I find stuff on there that I don't find here. And I'll tell you another thing that bothers me too, talking about the social media, the regular media. I can't even find stories on social media that have been covered in the United States if it's negative towards the left. I have to go to the UK. I have to go to Australia before I can find video of things that happened here. It's crazy, but people still keep going, oh, well, Google it. No, don't Google it. Do something else.
But the conversation I want to try and have with those people is say, when you start typing into Google and you get stuff back, do you question it? I mean, we just went through this whole thing with COVID, and then we were going through this whole thing with the debt problem, and we're going through, these different things, and you're getting sold. And you can say that's bad. You can say it's good. I'm not going to make a comment on it. But if you're not aware that you're being sold to, that's the problem, right? So it's one thing to say, well, I think Joe Biden's really great and Trump's mean, and I'm for open borders because I think they're good. And if you come to that opinion, I disagree with you strongly, but you get to have that opinion. We live in America still. The flip side of it is, though, is if you're for all those things and you don't know that, well, in the city of New York, that's a sanctuary city, those immigrants that have come there are now have a curfew because they can't seem to find enough stuff to eat or whatever they need. So they're locking them up at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Or the very wise people in Chicago said, come to our city. It's a sanctuary city. And then they put thousands of immigrants in tents in the middle of winter. And as a kid, I lived in New Jersey and Illinois, and I had a chance to enjoy the winters there. And if you're in California, you have no idea what cold is like until you have been either in New York during the winter, which is bad. But if you really want to find out what winter's like, go to Chicago about January, and you can see what that is like. And it is miserable. And I cannot imagine, hi, my name's whatever. I came from Venezuela or Mexico or whatever. And my kids and I are now going to live in this tent in Chicago without enough food.
Here's your tent. It's right on the water.
Welcome to America. Good deal. It's a good deal for me. I like it. I'm happy I'm here. Where's the Chicago pizza? I want to go to a Sox game. Oh, no. That's probably why they had to give him so much money. You don't got any heat. You got to go find some heat. Take the money and go burn it. Man. The way we're printing it, you got to go take the money and burn it. That's the only way you're going to keep your family warm.
All right. Anything else we didn't cover you want to cover? Otherwise, I'm going to let you go. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
I would just thank you for continuing to, you were thanking me for, what we're doing at Wake Up Placer and trying to cut the videos down. We're all about trying to start the conversation. And the fact that you are both being followed nationally, but you're allowing people like me to show up and say, hey, this is what's going on. And thank you for doing this. It's a mission. It's hard work. And the other thing I would say is if any of your followers want to hear more about what happened, I'd be more than happy to talk about it with them, because I have like a network of people sort of in the Western United States that I built out. And I call them and I say, hey, so we're a really red MAGA type place. And this is what happened to us. And if they can do it to us here, wherever you're at, they'll do it to you too. So you might want to go down and see, hey, what's going on? Is anybody talking about putting kids on the stage to dance, or they got any funny books in the library, or, whatever. Yeah. And for those of you who say, well, California is crazy, with the internet and the amount of resources these other teams have and what the teachers are saying, I was blown away. allies, LGBTQ supporters, if your teachers have a different opinion, you'd be blessed. I don't think they do. I think all of them are very concerned about this very small demographic, and I'm concerned about them too. But it's like, hey, let's not over sexualize kids that are confused or trying to find out what they are. I mean, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm not a scientist. I don't think they are. Everybody gets a chance to talk about it, but you don't go to a kid and say, get up on the stage and dance, and that's how you're going to find your sexuality. That's how you create a hooker. It's not how you create a kid, right?
That's exactly right. You're so right, man. And yes, of course, I don't call people who watch my show followers. They're my family. So family, please go to his website and support him and promote him, share him on your social media, wakeupplacer.com. And he's absolutely right. If this is happening here in California in a red county, imagine what
it can happen wherever you're at. You look underneath a rock and see what you see.
Imagine what they can do with you. All right, brother. Thank you so much, my friend.
God bless you, man. I appreciate it. I really do.
He does. He has. He will. And right back at you. I am Charlie Simons. You want to help support this show, do-not-talk.com. There's ways for you to do it with locals. You can also, with Give, Sing, Go, we have an account there, and we could really use the help right now. We sure would appreciate it very much if you could help us out at do-not-talk.com. Get yourself one of these awesome shirts, God, Family, Country. Get yourself a mug, coffee mug. And remember what Kevin was talking about, why it's so important. Local action equals national impact. We have to be thinking locally and looking right in our backyard, because there's a whole lot of gophers out there digging holes and just waiting for your whole back porch to collapse. It's that bad. Do-not-talk.com. Oh, get yourself a pillow. You're going to sleep so well. I've had my pillow for over 10 years. I was one of the first ones to get one of those pillows. I also have the sheets. I love the sheets. There's all like 20 different things now, American made, at mypillow.com. But use my middle name, Lee, L-E-E. You'll get up to 80% off right now. mypillow.com/Lee. mypillow.com/LEE. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, may America bless God.